Hi everyone, I wanted to do a quick tutorial about motion tracking in After Effects. It's a really powerful thing to use for just kind of giving your videos some more polish. And I just did this quick on my front porch. It should be a really pretty easy tutorial. So the first thing you want to do is bring your video in, and if you drag it into the composition icon, it'll make a composition the exact size and length of the video that you drop in. So it's a really useful way of knowing exactly how big your video is and how long it needs to be. And I just kind of shot, 6 or so seconds. I'm going to probably trim it down to 5.5. If I hit Control 0, you can watch the RAM preview of it. So it's going through right now. I'm going to watch it and just kind of see what the timing's like, and then cut it off at a certain point, probably right there. Yeah, so 6 seconds. I'll put it right here actually, and you can hit N to move the end of your work area to your playhead. And then that's an easy way of going up here into composition, trim comp to work area, and as you can see, it makes the composition and it actually cuts the end of the layer to end at the end of the composition. It's a nice way of trimming everything up. And you can also do, if you wanted to cut the beginning of the video or the comp, you can hit B to send the beginning of the work area to the playhead. So next thing you want to do is go up to your window drop down and find the tracker panel. It shows up right here. You can do a couple of things with it, but right now we're going to focus on track motion. And what you do when I hit track motion, you can see up here it goes into layer, the layer tab, as opposed to the composition tab, because you have to do the tracking on a video layer. You can't do it inside the composition. And I'll show you why in a second. So when I hit track motion, you can see right here there's a track point that automatically gets dropped in. And you want to make sure that you are at the beginning of your video, so that when you hit the analyze track button, you're tracking the entire shot. So what you do next is to select this track point. You see these dots open up, and you want to take the outer box and the inner box, and just kind of expand them so it's easier to see what you're gonna end up selecting. And you want to grab this area right here to click and drag. And as you can see, it shows you a blown up view of the smaller boxes area. And this allows you to place the tracking point, which is that X in the middle, to place it where you like. Now I like to do it, I thought right here would be a good place, because then I could put the text right there at the edge of the coffee cup. And it's important to have contrast in your track. As you can see, I have this bush behind the coffee cup, and the coffee cup's white. If I'd placed it in here where it's all pure white, I'll show you what happens. Now say you have the tracking point that you like, you go over here into Analyze, and you hit the play button, Analyze forward. Okay, actually it worked, but I'll tell you why. What I did, this outer square is kind of the area that the tracker analyzes, and this is the inside square is what the tracker actually tracks. So it's looking around in this box and tracking inside here. So the fact that I made it big enough that this coffee cup edge right here and this edge right here were staying inside this box area, it was able to actually track the coffee cup with pretty good precision. So let's do this. So I'll go back to the beginning and I'll hit reset. And I'll get this track point right here at the beginning again. And I'm just gonna not make it very big. I'm gonna do like that. And I'll drag it over into a white area, and I'll make sure that both these boxes are among that white of the coffee cup. Now look what happens when I analyze. See, it doesn't know what to follow and what to track, so it ends up becoming a really bad motion track. So it's a mess. That's bad because I didn't give it enough space. I didn't give it enough contrast or enough size to actually make a good track. So I'm gonna go back here and reset, and I'm just going to make this pretty big. Make this bigger, and I'm gonna drag it right here to the edge of the coffee cup and find some good contrast. Now the drawback to having a large tracking area, a larger square, is that it's gonna take longer to process because it's analyzing a lot more pixels as opposed to it being really small like this, or if this was really small. So you're gonna get a better track, but it's gonna take longer if you make the box bigger. So now I'm gonna analyze forward, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, now you can see the motion track's complete, and you can see a nice trail. These boxes are individual frames from the video. You can see it follows the edge of that coffee cup really well all the way through. It's very smooth. But now, how do we get this motion track data into a composition? Because right now it's just inside the layer. There's not really anywhere for it to go right now. If I go back to the composition, I can't see the motion track. It's inside the layer right now, not inside the composition. So what you have to do is create a layer that you can send this motion track data to. And the perfect thing for that is a null object. So I'll go up here to new, null object. I'm just gonna hit enter, rename it track null. And as if I go back into the layer panel and I see this motion track, I can go over to the tracker panel and see how it says motion source none. If I select the coffee cup, this data will come back, and I can do edit target, and you can have this drop down for your composition, and it can be any layer except for the video, obviously, though you can send this track data to. So I'll select the track null, I'll hit OK, and I'm gonna hit apply, which means I'm gonna apply this motion track data to the null object. It asks me if I want to do X and Y, or X only, or Y only. X and Y is good because then I'll get this full track motion. So I hit OK. And now, if I select this track null, you can see all of that data has been sent to the null object. And now the null object mimics exactly that motion track. And that's great, just like we had for the Connect the Dots tutorial. Now I can parent things, and I can use that point of the null object to drive a lot of cool animations. And so what I'm going to do now is I'll take the text tool, I'll click on the screen, and I'll just say more coffee. Now right now if I hit play, it's just going to sit on, it'll just sit on the scene. It's not going to move. What I have to do now is parent the text to the null object, and right there at that moment, at the playhead, at the frame that I hit parent is where it will stick. So there we go. Now it moves along with the coffee cup. And the cool part is this text layer isn't animated at all. It's just parented. So I could actually animate this text and have it still be a part of the motion track because it's parented to the track null. So what I'm going to do is I'll go in here, I'll hit P for position, and I put this in the shortcuts document. If you hold down Alt and any of the PSRTA shortcuts, it actually creates a keyframe at that playhead. automatically. So that's going to be the end point of my animation. I'll go back to the beginning, and I'm just going to have it move up in the Y, so I'm going to have it move down and kind of come in the scene and have it still be motion tracked to the coffee cup. Obviously, go in here, graph editor, tilde for full screen. I'll drag this down, ease it out, tilde again. Control 0 for RAM preview. And you can combine, now that we have a null object that's the tracking point, you can also combine the previous tutorial with the connect the dots using that simple expression and the two null objects and the beam effect. You could combine that with this motion track data that's in the null object, and I could have an actual beam line pointing to the coffee cup, and it will move the end of the beam. That point will move along with the coffee cup, and you can set another, you can use that same trick to kind of do a call out for a motion tracked object in the scene. That would be extra credit if you wanted it. So here's the end result of my motion track. Now I did something in the text layer that you might want to try. If you just kind of dig around in the text layer options, you can go, there's a text drop down that allows you to keyframe what actually is written in the text layer. And so I animated the yes with no exclamation point, the yes with 1 exclamation point, 2 exclamation points, and 3 exclamation points. And then I looped those animations so it looks like those are kind of being written on. And I did this for the more coffee please, just so you know. I did an animated mask. I just animated the path of the mask to reveal the words like that, and I used hold keyframes so that there was no interpolation between the keyframes. See, if I do this and I right click and I click toggle hold keyframe, they go back to default keyframes, and see what happens. This is when there's interpolation between the keyframes. So that's not what you want when you wanted to have it kind of pop on. And hold keyframes are really powerful for that kind of thing. So I'm going to drag and highlight these again, right click, and do toggle hold keyframe, and you can see the way the keyframe icon changes to that. So now it just jumps between the keyframes instantly. That's a nice trick to know. And that's the first option in the motion tracker in After Effects. Hope you have fun with it. Bye.